If you don't know, now you're going to know. Because the other crazy thing that I learned doing gig apps is that there are an enormous amount of people who are living in hotels. Entire families living in a room. They're buying full-on groceries, living in a room. And the entire hotel looks like it is inhabited by families. If you are paying $100 a night for a hotel room with no protections, rental protections, what have you, in an entire month, that's $3,000. $3,000 to live in a room.
No disrespect to any of you out there that are living in a hotel, but I'm trying to figure out how it's cheaper. I did a video about 6 months ago now, and I noticed that there's just been a lot of comments on the video. And so I wanted to come back and speak to those of you that are asking questions in the comment section about how hotel living is the new cheat code. And to this lady's point, it's just crazy work, man. You got whole families and it's not cheaper. $3,000 is is nowhere near rent for a lot of you all that watch. You know, we have a nationwide audience. And so as I have been doing more research, listening to people, reading the comments, I found a common denominator, if you will. And that's what I want to address in this video. It's the credit. Credit is the reason a lot of you guys are choosing the path of living in a hotel and masking it, if you will, with the fact that there's no income requirements, there's no background checks, there's no credit checks. But as she's saying, it's not cheaper for a lot of you guys. So my name is Robert, for those of you that don't know me. And on this channel, I focus on simplifying the home loan process. But today, I want to deal with that credit thing, those three numbers that freak a lot of you guys out. And it's understandable. You know, it could be intimidating. It could cause you to feel less than. But I'm here to encourage you because those are just numbers. And so that's what we're going to do today. So now there's a common three, if you will, when I look at credit reports. Heck, at the recording of this video, I looked at 4 today, right? 4 applicants looking to buy homes. And in 3 of those cases, there are people that I've known for over 2 years that have been working on the credit. And so there's 3 types of collections that just keep coming up and biting folks, and you have to deal with them. The first one is car repossessions. Those are the bane of some of you all's existence. The car repossession is one in which that it's not going away. If you do not get a final action on that trade line, okay, from whatever the car lender is from whatever that initial creditor or the person that has bought the collection is from, it's going to remain. Now, what a lot of you all don't realize is this: the further away you get from the date of last activity, DLA, date of last activity, the better it is for you, regardless of what your credit score says. And so the first thing that I want you guys to do when it comes to the date of last activity, you got to be able to find out what that date is so that you can determine how long has passed since you last had activity on that account. These collection agencies will keep reporting it every month, but when it comes to mortgage underwriting, for those of you that are looking to get a home, if I can identify what that last date of activity was, even on an open collection, and show that whatever caused the repossession stopped back at that last date of activity, and you have good reporting credit history going forward, we can get around you not paying those collections off because you're not going to pay it off. You've, in a lot of cases, have surrendered the car either voluntarily or somebody came and got it, and you feel like, look, I ain't paying for that car because I don't have it. Well, you don't have to pay for it if, again, we can establish that what caused it was in the past and your current income and DTI, debt to income ratio, the total ratio, can absorb a payment that we as lenders for certain loan types can factor in. And it's 5% of whatever the available or 5% of whatever the outstanding balance is. You don't have to pay it off. And so why that's huge is this. A lot of you guys are getting sucked in and having people do nothing more. When I say people, having credit repair services do nothing more than dispute those trade lines, have you then subscribe to some type of service that has an app that's giving you a score that's not based on mortgage lending scores, okay? And that app is then saying, hey, your score has jumped here, okay? And so you get excited, you come back around only to find that that same repossession has never gone anywhere, but your pockets are that much lighter. So repossessions, I believe, are keeping some of you guys in these situations where you might have your whole family in one room, like she said, because you've not dealt with past automobile collections. So I just showed you in that quick example that you don't have to pay those off because in a lot of cases it doesn't make sense, right? But we have to learn how to establish good credit going forward and how to deal with that repossession. The second thing that I see that's very common, other than repossessions, okay, are these credit cards that a lot of you guys are getting, and you never even make the first payment. I've seen credit card collections. Synchrony Bank is a big one for whatever reason. And it was probably a couple of years ago, right? And $4,500 credit limit was given. $4,500 balance was taken the same day and month that it was extended. The full line was assessed, and the first payment wasn't even made. Okay? And it's still an open collection. The bank hasn't charged it off yet. Okay? And so you have to deal with those as well. The deal with a revolving line of credit, that's a little more difficult than a installment line of credit like a vehicle, is this. Not only did you not make the payment, if that's you, but the utilization hit because you took advantage of the whole credit line, right? And then you'd be surprised. You know what the third one is? When you move out of these apartments or wherever you're leasing from, the utility collections. Either the water didn't get turned off right, the cable router, we don't call them boxes anymore, the cable router didn't get returned. Just little bitty stuff like that is causing you to pay $3,000 a month in the example that we're using with the hotel. I'm not saying everybody, but it's not cheaper. And at some point in time, you're going to have to rely on your credit, and you gotta quit running from your credit. So those are the three ways or the three things that I see most common with people and some solutions on how you could get around them. I'd like to know from you guys, in your opinion, what are some of the major headaches or barriers that you may have in your credit report that you need help overcoming with some good sage advice? Not hopium. We're not selling drugs. There's no magic pills or elixirs, and we're going to do everything the right way, which means it might take some time. But let me know down in the comment section, what actually are you dealing with when it comes to credit? that has you afraid of those three numbers and may have you in a situation where you're not in a hotel, but maybe you've been renting for the last 20 years because you just don't want to deal with the credit. I don't want that to be an excuse for you anymore because it's costing you thousands of dollars, and it's really cost you in a way that a lot of folks don't really understand, because as you get older, you're going to see, in my opinion, the value of owning, controlling your own home. Because if you've not heard, everything is up. Now, I want to bust some myths that people keep perpetuating and keep a lot of people stuck. The first myth is my credit is too bad to ever buy. Most of the times, that's just not true. All right? People buy homes every single day with credit that is far from perfect. Whatever perfect means for you. You guys will be amazed at the number of people that are buying homes that have less than stellar credit. Okay? And so the number that you need more times than not is lower than the number that you have in your head. I get it, and it makes sense. Here's what I'm not saying. The higher the score, the better. There are some perks of having a higher credit score, but they're not monumental in difference from 800 to a 640. It's really not, because it just depends on the day that you're locking in your interest rate and what's going on in the world at that time and what the 10-year treasury note is really doing in the bond market. Okay. So that's the point that I want you to understand. That's a myth that keeps a lot of you stuck. The second myth that I want you to get out of your head is that it takes forever. It takes years to fix things. And that's really not the case. Here's the deal that I tell a lot of folks. 2 years really should be the maximum amount of time. And that's if you really just have some messed up challenge credit. When I say messed up, you got student loans that have been in deferment that you've not taken care of. Well, why would that take a long time, Robert? Because you have to go through the process or a process with the student loan servicer. It might be 6 months, 9 months, a year before you're reinstated, and they take that negative credit information off your credit report. You see, that's why I'm saying, but it should take no longer than 2 years, because you have to establish good payment history. And that good payment history only takes 12 months. Okay. So, like I said, some things take time, but the time that it's really taking is because you guys don't understand and you're moving from a fear perspective or standpoint and listening to all the wrong advice. So, I said all that to say a lot of you guys are closer than you really think, but you got to look into the matter to find out where you really are. The third myth that I want to dispel is this: that you have to pay off every single thing first before your credit will get back on good standings. That's akin to the repossession example that I gave earlier. You're not going to go back and pay off that repossession. It doesn't make sense, right? But again, once you have the date of last activity, as in that example, if the repossession, the date of last activity was January 1st, 2024, and now we are where we are today, whenever you're watching that, well over, and at that time is well over 2 years. Well, if you've not had any late payments, especially for the most recent 12 months, listen, 12 months, you've paid your rent on time, all the time, every time, and it can be documented, okay, for 12 months, you are well on your way to not having to pay off that car payment. One last thing, if you have a credit card, one, you don't need 15, just need one. And the credit limit, the revolving line of credit limit, could be $50. Doesn't matter the limit. What matters is how you utilize it, right? The credit scoring system is all about our behaviors and how we do things. Simply that, right? So long and short, you don't have to pay everything back to get back on good terms and have a good credit score. Okay? You guys could tell I get passionate about this. Let me give you a simple plan, straightforward, that you can implement going forward. Okay? Step one, look at your credit report. I know that sounds revolutionary, but you gotta see what's going on. How do I get it, Robert? I'm glad you asked. Go to annualcreditreport.com. That's a government website, okay, that you can get a free copy of the three repositories, the three agencies, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, once a week. I don't think they've even changed it since what happened 5 years ago, 6 years ago. You can go there once a week and get a copy of the actual information that these folks are gathering to create the credit score. Don't worry about the credit score. If you're doing what I'm advising you to do, your scores will be high. Quit worrying about those three numbers and understand how the scoring system works. Step number 2, after you've gotten your credit report, okay, you have to get an understanding on what app you're monitoring your credit with. And when I say an understanding, you have to understand this. There's different scoring models for different products, credit cards, home loans. If you want to know where those models are and get a better understanding, you could go to the CFPB, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, another government website. That's free 99, and you can find out what they're using and what product you're looking at uses what model, so you're not confused, okay? And therefore, when you're looking at these apps and it tells you you have a 700, you can say, oh, you know what? They used FICO version 8 or FICO model 8, 9, and 10. Well, the mortgage is using 3, 4, and 5. Different models, different scores, and you won't get frustrated. More importantly, you won't get got when it comes to these credit repair places, okay, telling you, hey, look at this app and all this work that I'm doing. Look, your score is going up. Got to just ask a question. Are you disputing on my credit report? Better yet, when you go to the annualcreditreport.com and get your report, you can see, well, you know what? Who's doing all these disputes? I ask clients all the time, man, when did you put this dispute? Oh, I don't know. And then, everybody starts talking in code. Are you paying for a credit repair person? If you want to, that's fine, but you don't have to. And once we get to the bottom of it, I'm like, hey, man, how much are you paying? $1,500? Do you know you could do this for free? Do you know that if you don't have the documentation to show that you didn't borrow that money from Synchrony Bank, $5,000 4 years ago, and get the money and didn't pay it back, if you don't have documentation, all it's going to say is dispute resolved, borrower disagrees. That means they got the information to show that you borrowed the money and you didn't pay it back. That is a waste of time. Okay? So now, here's the third step. You got to find the things, once you get the report from the three agencies or repositories, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion, you got to find the things that actually move the needle on your report. Now, for most people, it comes down to your payment history, as I've stated several times in this video, going forward, your payment history going forward. So we got to find the date of last activity on the most recent late payment, because that's going to be our starting date, if that makes sense. Okay. And so from there, you have to, you got to understand that you got to make your payments on time, all the time, every time. So as I was saying before, if you've not established what the problem is, we're just going to be walking in the wilderness. But let's assume that you've established that and you're moving forward with those payments made on time. The next thing you have to do is you got to understand how much available credit you are using right now. Meaning, do you have any revolving lines of credit? Do you have anything that's currently available to you that's in good standing that you're making payments on? Because that's the next easiest place to go to move the needle quickly are your revolving lines of credit and your utilization. Okay? Meaning, if you got $1,000 credit card and $1,000 balance, the thing that you need to do most importantly after identifying everything is pay that balance down. And you'll hear online 30%. Well, you need to pay it down to zero. A lot of folks. But if you can't pay it down to zero, here's the key. If you're at 40%, 45%, once you go to 39%, that's a big deal. Once you break that barrier, you go to the next 9. So 39%. But the best credit scores utilize the available credit that you have extended to you at 9% of the available credit limit or less. All right? So let's move forward. Step number 4. Now, you want to avoid, and I'm hitting it on it all day long, but you want to avoid the do-it-yourself, the DIY mistakes that quietly hurt a lot of you guys that watch YouTube videos or what have you and just kind of, oh, I heard one thing and I'm going to go run and do it. As an example, what am I talking about? Here's an example. You get that report and you have a credit card that's open, but you haven't used for a long time. And say it's been open for 15 years. Well, you get the cutting off those credit limits or shutting those cards down. And you just shot yourself in the foot. Why? Because a part of your credit scoring formula is how long an account has been open. And you can't hack time. So if you have a credit card that's been open for 15 years and you're not using it, a lot of people that do this have a problem with spending that money and like, I'm gonna just get rid of everything. Well, we gotta slow down and move with a strategy. And so this is what I mean by hurting yourself by the do-it-yourself type tactics that people get into. So don't go and shut off a credit card that's been open for 15 years because it's going to shoot yourself in the foot. Okay? Step number 5, get a real credit review before you decide you're disqualified if you're looking to buy a home. Don't let these folks on YouTube, don't let a credit guru or anybody help you when it comes to a mortgage. Reach out to the lender that you know, like, and trust. Complete an online application and submit all your documentations. Your income, your taxes or your W-2s or your taxes if you're in business, so on and so forth. You want to submit everything so that that lender, if they're worth their salt, they'll be able to give you a simple plan of action on do this, do this, do this, right? If you're really serious about buying a house, and you can move forward with that plan and you're not throwing darts in the dark with your eyes closed, okay? You're actually being productive while you have to wait, if you have to wait. Again, I find most people are closer than they ever really think. Once they've fixed their income issue. Now, hear what I'm saying. If it makes sense to reach out to that lender, apply, just like you're buying today. And then by doing that, not only will you get that plan of action if you need it, but then you can determine what you can afford. For real. More importantly, you can determine if you even want to buy a house, because the number might not be what you thought it was in your head. There's just a lot that goes on with that's beneficial to you if you apply the strategy. So here's a mind shift, a paradigm shift, a reframe I want you to walk away with after watching this video. Living in a hotel or renting forever to avoid dealing with your credit is not the cheap or safe choice that it might feel like it is. It's expensive, okay? Every month you spend hiding from those 3 numbers is a month that money is leaving your hands and your family's future with nothing to show for it. Facing your credit in this example is the move that actually saves you money. because it's the only path that ends with keys that belong to you. So here's what I'm asking you to do. Not to buy a house today, but just stop running from those 3 numbers. Pull your reports. Look at them with honest eyes. And if what you see scares you, don't spiral out of control and don't do it alone. That's the whole reason I'm here. Now, maybe your credit is actually fine. Maybe you're one of the folks who could get approved tomorrow, but you're still picking the hotel because in your head, it's the cheaper play. I hear you, but I ran the real numbers on that, and it is not what it looks like. That's my next video. Go watch it. If you want to know what camp you're really in, my link is below, and we'll look at it together. Facing your credit one time beats avoiding it for the next 10, 15, or 20 years. Indeed.